Our viewers, welcome to today's show. In today's show, we are going to focus and talk about entrepreneurship. What we have decided to do is to make sure that on a day-to-day basis, we continue to share with you the experiences, the lessons we have learned in as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. We've also taken it upon ourselves to make sure that on each and every day, either we are giving you what we term hardware of entrepreneurship, or we are giving you what we have come to term software of entrepreneurship. On the hardware side, we will be telling you how one is going to run his business on a day-to-day basis, the challenges that they face, how they can overcome that. The software side is basically to try and encourage, motivate, and make sure that we've got more entrepreneurs getting on to start and run their own businesses. I always encourage all our viewers and subscribers to make sure that they have actually watched our shows right up to the end. So what is it that we are going to talk about today? I have deliberately picked on a subject matter which is going to talk to those that are still employed, those that are already running businesses, and those that are not working at all but are aspiring to start and run their own businesses. It has always been an issue for people to try and choose a profession. And amongst most of the people that we've talked to, there's never been people who have started outright from school and going for entrepreneurship. So I just want to take this particular opportunity to encourage every viewer and every subscriber who is watching this particular show to make sure that you've watched it right up to the end. I am going to pick on a subject matter to do with human resources. I know for so many people, the moment I pick on human resources, they would think I'm going to talk about why people should go out and look for jobs. But my subject matter today is slightly different from focusing on encouraging people to go out and look for employment. I've decided today to start with a brief story of what happened to me. A couple of years ago, when I was still employed, I was working for a very big organization, working for a guy who was an investor and a business person. This guy had very good businesses, not only in one country, but all over the world. So it happened that one of the days he called me into his office. And he said to me, "Shepherd, I've just called you to discuss with you. You happen to be one of the people that I've worked with for a long time. I would want to inform you that we have sold this particular business where you are employed to the next person." Over the years, I had developed a relationship with this particular boss. So when he said this, the next thing that I was worried about was about my relationship with him, what was going to happen. He told me something that changed my life, something that I will never forget. When I asked for the contact that he was going to use, the emails and phone numbers that he was going to use, he said, "Shepherd, I'm not able to share with you the contacts that I'm going to be using for one particular reason." To him, human resources were like any other resource. He said to me, human resources is just like financial resources. The very moment that I've decided to leave this particular business to go and run another business, I do not develop emotional attachment to my resources. So it's unfortunate that I'm not going to share my contacts with me. Whilst it was painful, but it was very clear to me that investors and business people and entrepreneurs regard people as mere resources. I need to quickly put a disclaimer to say I'm not saying entrepreneurs and business people should not care for their employees. But what I'm trying to say to so many people who may have been thinking of starting and running their own businesses and have not done that because they think their immediate bosses and the company owners care for them, they should think again. They should never stop to aspire to run their own businesses because of their bosses. So let me now get to the very subject matter of today. I've deliberately picked on human resources because I've also discovered that in as much as so many people refuse to start and run their own businesses because they think human resources departments in companies are meant to take care of them, in most cases, they've been proved wrong. I will take this opportunity to encourage so many people to think of starting and run their own businesses beyond employment. So what is the first thing that we are going to talk about? I would want us to focus on labor law. Anyone who has had an opportunity to understand labor law would realize that if an employee has done something wrong, he's given what is called a first written warning, second written warning, and final written warning, and he's dismissed. Our laws all over the world are designed in such a way that people who do not fit into organizations are managed out. So one area of human resources that we have got to pay particular attention to is labor law. Labor law is meant and designed to make sure that employees have got to realize that they are not going to be employed by their companies forever. The moment an employer and a company has effected disciplinary measures, one is going to realize that he or she may be on a way of being managed out. The second thing that I want to talk about, still on labor law, is people have got various ways through which they leave organizations. The first thing that people leave organizations is through dismissals. One may be dismissed anytime, and half the time when people are dismissed, they start and think they were supposed to have taken the first opportunity to start and run their own businesses. The second thing is retirement. And I want to talk a bit about retirement. There are various ways through which people get onto retirement. There is normal retirement, and there is retirement due to medical reasons. And that's the particular area that I would want to focus on today. If one happens not to be well, and he spends more than 3 months, 6 months, 9 months not going to work due to medical reasons, the next thing that happens, the employer already is thinking about how he or she can leave the organization. Now, if you ask me, that's the particular time one is going to be concerned about his or her well-being. But because of our current labor laws throughout the world, one is asked to leave the organization. So a lot of people will find one day that they will be retired due to medical grounds. And if one would have been running your own business, even if you are sleeping at home, even if you are not feeling well, your business will continue to generate money for you. There is no any other better time when one is concerned about money than the time that one is not feeling well. So those that have been retired on medical grounds would tell you that they were retired, they were asked to leave their companies at the very particular time when they were concerned about money. The next thing that we need to talk about is succession planning. Anyone who has worked in human resources would tell you that for every organization that is running well, they've got what they come to term succession planning. What is it that they talk about when they're talking about succession planning? All they are saying is for each and every employee within the organization, right from the CEO down to the shop floor level person, they always have got a plan in terms of who is going to replace them when they happen to be run down by a car. So organizations are never meant to keep employees forever. The more reason why people should think about starting and running their own businesses. When human resources people are talking about succession planning, they are always talking about making sure that at each and every given time, every person who is working for every organization has got a capable replacement to make sure that when they happen to leave, they are replaced. So if you look at succession planning, it tells you that you do not have a permanent position wherever you are working. But if you happen to run your own organization, if you happen to run and start your own business, you are assured of income, even if you are retired on medical grounds. Even if through succession planning, you happen to leave the organization. So, as a summation of what we've talked about, I've just picked on human resources to indicate to those that have not yet made their decision in terms of starting and running their own business, and those that are still employed, and those that may be thinking of giving up on their businesses, to say going back to seek employment is always not the best solution. I've never heard of a CEO or a director who has left the company that he was working for and immediately his son or daughter has had to take their position. Those are some of the things that people have got to think about carefully. But not only that, I've talked about people being retired on medical grounds. The moment that they are incapacitated, when they actually require money, but they cannot continue going to work, that's when their organizations and that's when their companies make a decision to retire them on medical grounds. The other critical thing that we also need to look at whilst we're talking about human resources is a lot of people always make a mistake of thinking that human resources departments only worry about their welfare and their employment. Companies, organizations, and business people and entrepreneurs also regard human resources as an overhead. And if you happen to be running your business and you get to a point where your revenue, which is the top line, gets to be stagnant and you can't continue growing the top line, all you can do and focus on is to focus on the middle line, which is your overhead. And that's where wages and salaries fit in. And employers half the time are faced with no any other option except to cut on the overheads. That's why in most cases, when companies are faced with challenges to do with their performance, with challenges to do with their revenue, the next thing that they go for is to reduce their overheads. And unfortunately, human resources happens to be amongst the overheads that employers and entrepreneurs target. So for today, we just wanted to focus on why is it that we've got to continue and encourage so many people to start and run their own businesses. As a summation, I'll quickly run down the reasons why people have got to start and run their own businesses. You are never assured of continued employment due to succession planning, due to being retired on medical grounds. But not only that, one day you may be asked to leave the very organization that you are working for. So we are very passionate about entrepreneurship, and we encourage so many people to start looking at starting and running their own businesses to create employment. Our viewers, we are very happy with the support that you've given us. We urge most of you to continue subscribing to this very channel as we continue to share with you the very reasons why people should focus on running their own businesses.